1% worth of extra returns could cost you upwards of $200,000 by the time you retire, and you probably haven't even batted an eye. Australia's superannuation is one of the most generous among the world, and I'm going to tell you how and why you should be using this to your advantage. But let's start with the basics. What is superannuation? Put simply, superannuation is forced savings by the Australian government. It is considered a fund where the money in your super is automatically invested for you, similarly to personal investments into stocks and property. Your superannuation follows the same basics with one catch. You can't touch it. The sole purpose of superannuation is to prepare you for retirement by putting your money into investments for you from the day you start working to grow with the market. But the biggest benefit of super is not the hands-off investments. It's the fact that by default, your employer is required to pay 12% of your pre-tax income into your superannuation fund. And if you're sitting here worried that you've never opened a superannuation fund, don't stress. Your employer, by default, would have opened a superannuation account in your name via their default fund, so you haven't missed out. The other beneficial thing about super is it's only taxed at a fixed rate of 15%, which most likely is less significant than your personal income tax. Untouched, this is exactly how superannuation works without you even thinking about it. But the hidden benefits come from super saver schemes, such as the First Home Super Saver Scheme or FHSSS. But more on that later. Why your superannuation is losing you money. And you've probably gotten to this point and you're considering all the benefits of super and thinking how on earth this isn't amazing. And the truth is, it is. But it could be better. If you've never opened a superannuation fund yourself or had a look at your current super balance, then it's fair to say that your current superannuation investments are sitting in a steady, low-risk investment portfolio. Now, this is important. However, if, like me, you're young and this is your biggest advantage, you should make sure that your super is set to a high growth fund. This allows you to maximize your returns at a young age, and it's a slow burn process. You're not going to see immediate results, but it's worth it. After 10 years, a high growth super fund may grow about 1 to 2% larger than a balanced portfolio. But due to the effects of compounding interest, you could be seeing returns of up to 20 to 30% more than a balanced super fund. This can be a significant amount. Imagine you had $300,000 in a balanced super for 30 years. That would become $2.43 million, which is a significant amount. However, $300,000 in a high growth account after 30 years could be worth approximately $3.48 million. That's over $1 million more. Same amount of money, different fund. This shows the true scale of paying attention to your super and which fund you are currently in. It doesn't take a lot of effort, it takes 10 minutes to check where your money's going. And by spending that extra 10 minutes, you could be scoring an extra $1 million for retirement. I would highly recommend every single person watching this right now logs into their super, not only to check your balance, as I'm sure it will give you some motivation and give you some reassurance, but it might surprise you how much is in there. But I urge you to dive into what type of fund your super currently sits in. Now, there are many different options, and I would highly recommend using a comparison website such as CanStar to help you make the best decision possible. However, depending on which super fund you choose, some of them may incur very large fees. Some of them are highly tweakable, some are set in stone. Each fund is different, each with its own benefits. Some are safer than others, some are not. So make sure you do your research and pick a super fund that works for you and aligns with your goals. Now, there are other benefits that can't be overlooked. Most notably is a government scheme within your superannuation that lets you contribute to an optional First Home Super Saver Scheme. This is different to your general super fund. This is specifically built to develop your savings for your first home deposit, a mechanism implemented by the government to release some of the housing pressure on first home buyers. Some people think this is no different from a high yield savings account, and that couldn't be further from the truth. A high yield savings account is money saved that was taxed at whatever your marginal tax rate is, whereas in a superannuation fund, it only gets taxed at 15%. This could give you an extra 15 to 25% more money saved towards a house deposit. That's a significant difference, and just like your regular super account, this money is also put into investments to ensure your money is working for you and doesn't get eaten by inflation. However, Due to the outstanding benefits of this scheme, and to make sure it's used by the right people, there are rules. Most commonly, you can only make a maximum contribution of $15,000 a year, up to an overall maximum of $50,000 into the fund. Alongside this, whatever property you choose to purchase with this money, you must live in it for at least 6 months, within the first 12 months of owning the property. And the scheme is amazing for first home buyers looking to move into their forever homes. And the more time your money sits in there, the more time it has to grow. However, it is not designed to benefit investors. The occupation rules around this scheme make using it as a suitable investment plan very unachievable. So if you're looking to buy an investment property, I'm afraid you're on your own. Superannuation in Australia has a hidden third option, and this is called SMSF, or Self-Managed Super Fund. This is a super fund which you will actively manage. You have full control and reign over exactly where your money is going. You get to pick and choose which investments your money goes into via super. However, the same conditions still apply, meaning you won't be able to access this money until you retire, but it is still taxed at the marginal 15% tax rate. Now, why is this important? Well, if you were looking to invest into property, you could do so via super. The only downside being you don't get access to any of the capital or rental income until retirement. All rental income via a property purchased through an SMSF gets put straight back into your super. But if you're looking to enter the property market and are saving for long-term retirement, this could be a really efficient way to enter the market. While this strategy may fit into my plan eventually, I want to achieve financial freedom in my 30s. Meaning the ability to not access this property or benefits available does not align with my goal at the moment. And as a whole, I am not considering super when talking about reaching my financial freedom number of $2.86 million. This is a number I would like to hit by my mid-30s, and I don't intend on making any additional contributions towards my super at this point, as my focus is largely investing in ETFs and putting money aside for an investment property. However, I'm not ignoring the benefits of my super and may consider devising a plan such as having the ability to retire early and make sure I have enough money to get through to age 60 or 65 before accessing my superannuation fund to get me through for the rest of my life. It is a plan, it's still under construction, and entirely depends how much money I value. I am, by nature, ambitious and don't ever want to stop earning, and I always strive for more, so personally, I couldn't see myself only saving enough for age 35 to 65, as I would also love to build generational wealth for my family and kids if I ever have them. I'd like to remind you, I am not a financial advisor, and this is not financial advice. This is just my journey as a 19-year-old investor with future ambition. So join me on this journey as I build my wealth and help you build yours.